Hey everyone, this is Dr. Harvey. I just wanted to just a few minutes to tell you a little bit more about the group project that we'll be doing this summer. This project is designed to help you see the marketing and research process sort of from beginning to end. We are working with a hypothetical client this summer, and we're going to do a miniature marketing research project for this hypothetical client. The client is a farmer who is working, or a market garden farmer who's wanting to figure out how to distribute his products, whether it be a CSA program like a subscription box, or going to the farmer's market. Should he package them? There's all kinds of issues facing the farmer, so it is a little open-ended as to what your group decides to focus on. What I would recommend is to sort of think about the 4Ps, the marketing mix, and then that overarching P of people. So let me just throw out a couple of thoughts here, and then I'll talk about the actual project itself and the different components of it that you're required to do. So when you're thinking about what should we do for our project, you're going to want to work with your group member. Most groups have 2 members. There might be 1 or 2 groups that have 3 group members. They are smaller groups, you'll notice, than some other classes. I just wanted to make sure that there were fewer communication issues, and typically that comes with a smaller group. Please make sure that you fill out the group communication form. So back to the project itself and thinking about what you guys might want to pursue within your groups. Like I said, it is a little bit open-ended. I want you to think about the issues that might be facing a farmer who wants to distribute his product within the local Spartanburg area. So my recommendation is, again, is to think about the 4Ps. Is there something about the product that you could investigate, variety or amounts or whatnot have you? Is there something about the pricing? What is the appropriate pricing, say, for a subscription box? How could you figure that out with collecting data from consumers? You could think about promotions, right? Should the farmer promote the product or the services to the consumers? What is effective? What type of messaging? How could you test that with collecting data from consumers? And then, of course, we have the last one is distribution or place. What is the best way to distribute the product? Is it through the farmer's market? Is it through a local it's fresh market or Garner's or something like that? Kind of an intersection between place and product. We have something about packaging, right? How would you package a subscription box? What really makes the most sense in terms of what consumers would like, but also cost. It mentioned people, right? Who is his target market? How could you really test to figure out what group of people, what particular target market would be appropriate for the farmer? So there's sort of 5 broad areas that you can think about. If there are other things that you've thought about beyond those, I'm open to that as well. I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. So let's get into the project guidelines. I'm just going to share those with you. So I just wanted to start here with the actual Blackboard that you see and where you're going to go to find this. So you're going to go to course modules. This is really where all the course material is housed. And then you can go to group project resources. And here are your project guidelines. So they're going to open here. Okay. This particular semester, we have groups of 2 to 3. They've already been assigned by me. So if you don't know who your group is, you can just click the groups section button over here, and you will be able to find your group member there, as well as on the document that I sent out, that shared doc. So you are going to develop the marketing problem, which I already mentioned. What thing is it you want to investigate? Figure out what the methodology is. How are you going to figure out what the answer to this is? How are you going to get data? What method? You're going to interview people? Are you going to do a survey? So on and so forth. You're actually going to conduct the research. It will not be to the same scale as you would see in an actual, market research study that a firm would conduct, whether again internal like Procter & Gamble or a marketing firm that a farmer might contract with. But you will do a small data collection, and then you will report your results, right, in a written report. And then it goes into what are your deliverables, and we talk a little bit about the hypothetical client here, which I already mentioned before. So you can read through that as well. So then we have 3 key deliverables or assignments that you'll turn in. So basically each of these builds upon the prior one. So in the first part of the marketing research process, we're going to figure out what is the problem. So we're going to create a problem statement. And so you see in the guidelines here, I also discuss which chapters are related to what you're going to be doing so that you have a good resource to go back to and say, I don't know what a problem statement is. Okay, well, that's in chapter 2. I can go to chapter 2. You'll see in chapter 2 that it includes these 2 main components, okay, the background to the problem, the statement of the problem. Okay, if you look in chapter 2 and also in the slides, there are some examples of how you would write the actual market research, the actual problem statement. Okay, you will also give some background to the problem. You'll describe the client if you're going to take some leeway with who the client is or some details about his business that I haven't described. You're welcome to do that. Just make sure you talk about it. And you will have to look into some basic topics of just researching what the problems might be. Okay. You will want to make sure that the statement of the problem itself is a very clear statement, okay, about the marketing research problem and also what decision management would take from the results of this decision. Okay. Then you will create a research design protocol. So this covers a lot of the textbook. This is going to be a big chunk of the project. And so you have chapters 3 through 13 that talk about each of the details for each of these sections. Okay, what the type of research, what information is needed, what can you collect from secondary sources, which are going to be existing sources that already are out there. What might you need to collect from primary sources, which means you actually go out and collect the data. What types of scaling techniques are you going to use, like in terms of, you've probably seen surveys before. You probably have taken them even just with the student evaluations for classes, right? Where it will ask you a question and then the result or the options are somewhere between, very likely and not at all likely. So that's scaling, and there are a variety of different ways to do it, but the one I just described is probably the most common one. You're going to develop a little survey questionnaire. It doesn't have to be really, really long, but you will develop a survey questionnaire, and then eventually, which we're going to get to in a minute, you will actually administer that survey to consumers. And you'll go through each of those different pieces, okay? And then finally, we have the final research report. And again, these are all building upon each other. So you'll have the problem statement that you already have turned in. And by this point, you will actually have feedback from me, so you'll be able to edit it. We'll have the research design protocol. And actually between these 2 submissions, you will have an opportunity to update your research design protocol based on my feedback. And then I'll resubmit that grade if you improve it based on the feedback that you received. So you'll have the updated research design protocol. So those 2 things are basically done, except for the edit, whatever revisions might need to be done. And so then we have the new sections for the final report are going to be data analysis. So this is not going to be as in-depth as you would actually do it, again, because we just have a limited time to collect data and analyze it. But you will provide a detailed description of how you would propose, based on what you've learned in the class, how would you propose that the data would be analyzed. And then finally, we'll have the results. So again, we're not running the actual analyses on the data, but you will provide some basic results such as demographic data, what percentage of respondents responded to each option, if you did interviews, what are the main themes that were discussed in those interviews, and so on and so forth. So without doing an official quantitative analysis, you're still going to give us a general idea of what you think the data is saying without that full analysis, okay? Any limitations that you might have, again, time is going to be one of those. I'll just tell you, you could just start with that one, right? A limited time, and any other limitations that you may have had, conclusions, recommendations. So based on the data you collected and what you think it's saying, what do you recommend that the client actually do with the data? Okay. And then that's going to tie all the way back to the very beginning with the marketing problem or the problem statement. Okay, and those should tie directly together. And then at the end, you'll include any raw data. So like download the results from a survey. If you use like SurveyMonkey or Google Forms, there's a way to download that into an Excel sheet. You'll just attach that. If you did interviews, transcript of those interviews, and so on. And so any other data that you collected would go here in the appendices. And then also I noted here, chapter 23 is a good one for their actual report preparation itself. Okay, so that can help you see kind of what should the report look like. And it goes through each of the different sections that you'll need as well. So that is the marketing research project. I will be including a lot of reminders about that and resources for that in the emails in the next few weeks. But I wanted to give you an overview of it and open it up for any questions. If you watch this video and you've read through the information and you still have questions, please just let me know. You feel free to email me. You can email me anytime. It might take me a little bit to get back to you, but I promise you'll be in my queue. And I will also be checking in with each of your groups in the next week or two just to see how you're doing, answer any questions that you have, get some feedback about how it's going. Before I go, I'll just note, you'll submit each of your problem statement, research design protocol, and final research report here in the same section with group project resources. Everything's housed together. And then there is a marketing research project FAQ here. So this just gives you kind of, at this point, 6 of the main questions that I've been asked about this. And so that will give you kind of some answers for those. And then if you come up with, or if I get some questions multiple times, I'll be updating that FAQ document as well. So that's a good place to go if you have any questions about it. And then if not, of course, just shoot me an email. Okay. All right. I look forward to seeing what kind of creative ideas you come up with for the actual marketing research problem that you're going to be pursuing. And let me know if there are any issues with groups, if you can't get a hold of group members, so that we can address that early rather than later in the semester. And we can, head off any issues that might arise. So thank you. And I look forward to checking those the shared doc for your communication preferences, as well as seeing that first problem statement come in to see what kind of creative things you come up with. All right. Thanks, everyone.